Benjamin Neuman, he's a professor of biology at Texas A&M University. He joins me now live. Professor, great to have you on the program with us again. Let's talk about this good news about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which gives Americans another vaccine option. What can you tell us about it, and how is it different from the Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna vaccines, which are already being given out?
The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is essentially the same concept as the AstraZeneca vaccine, the Russian Sputnik vaccine, and one of the Chinese vaccines. So this is something that is pretty widely shown to work. And in general, I think the results that we've seen from Johnson & Johnson seem to line up pretty well with what we've seen from those other vaccines, as they probably should, being essentially the same. So there are a lot of numbers in the report. The 85%, that's at the high end, and that's looking only at severe disease. Other numbers from the same report showed that it's about 66% effective at preventing all forms of disease, which would be right in line with the other adenovirus vectored vaccines. I think the most interesting things about this particular vaccine are, as you mentioned, that it can be stored at much warmer temperatures. Just sort of refrigeration is plenty to get this thing from one spot to another. And also, I think it's very nice that this has very low side effects. That's something that the FDA report pointed out. And so for people who are in a delicate condition, who are already older, or who are at risk of other sort of severe things going wrong with side effects, I think this will be the ideal vaccine to give them a bit of a safety blanket and enough protection to help end this COVID-19 outbreak.
You know, everything you're saying there sounds really great, but when people look at the vaccine options they have, do you think it's worth it? Let's say if people find that it'll be more convenient to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, should people hold out and wait for it, or does it really matter? Should people just get whichever one they have available?
If it's my choice, I think there have been higher efficiency and efficacy numbers for both of the mRNA vaccines. And so if there was an option, and I don't know that anybody has had this option yet in the real world, but at the point where there is an option, I think I would go for the more effective version for anybody who is sort of younger and in healthier condition. It's probably going to provide a little bit longer protection. But in any case where I'm not certain, or where somebody is really concerned about side effects, I think this is going to be a pretty good alternative. And yeah, it should be very similar to the other ones we've seen in use around the world, and should have similar ability to protect against some of the variants as we've seen with some of the other vaccines that are currently in trials.
All right, so let's talk about some of those variants that we are seeing there in the U.S., in particular the California variant, which sounds worrisome. What can you tell us about that?
Every time they put a new name on one of these variants, it sounds bad. You think, oh no, there's a virus coming from a different part of the world coming to get me. What this is not so much a part of the world. This is one additional change in addition to the ones that we've seen in, for example, the UK variant and the South African variant. So this is starting out with a genetic setup that's very similar to the UK variant. It adds one other mutation, and the mutation's in a place that is near the site but not quite at the site where the virus would actually make contact with the human body. So we're not entirely sure exactly how this works. It looks as though this particular change may make it easier for the protein to be produced in cells. You may just be a little more efficient at producing this particular variant. And that is certainly one way that could lead to a virus being able to spread a little bit further. It does seem that with higher amounts of virus in a person and coming out of a person, you get a higher chance of passing on the infection to somebody else, and a higher chance of bad things happening to the person who has the virus in them.
Okay, we'll leave it there for now. Professor Benjamin Neuman, thank you again for your time.